So I'm Madison Goodyear. I am the school counselor at High Point. Our goal today is to define being pre-K or kindergarten ready and leave with tools to help build your child's capacity for problem solving, communicating, and identifying feelings. There is kind of this myth that to be ready for kindergarten, you have to already know your letters and you should know your letter sounds and you should be able to count to 100 and you should be able to write, and none of that is true. Is it amazing if you come to kindergarten or pre-K and you already know some letters? Yes, that's fantastic. But that's also why you're coming to school. You're coming to school to learn how to do those things. The skills that our students lack that does actually impede them is things like figuring out how to problem solve, persevere when things get tough, try things for the first time, even if we've never seen it before, tell someone that we need help. So when you're asking yourself, is my child really ready for kindergarten? Do they know their name? Literally, like, not can they write their name, can they tell somebody their name? And that sounds very silly, but you would be shocked at the amount of kids who come in and we're trying to figure out, who they are and what teacher they're going to, and they can't tell you their name or the grade they're going to. So if your kid knows their name and what grade they're going to, incredible. They need to be able to use the bathroom by themselves and do all the bathroom cleanup themselves. If your child cannot do those things yet, start there. Don't worry about anything else I talk about today, just start there. If they can follow 1 or 2 step directions, incredible. I say 1 or 2 step because not all 4-year-olds can remember 2-step directions. That's okay. But they do need to be able to follow at least a 1-step direction, and then asking for help if they need it. So those are the very basic skills that we need in order to successfully start pre-K or kindergarten. The other things we hit today are really important, but these few things right here on this slide are definitely where to start if your child hasn't mastered some of those skills. Okay, when our kids are not prepared for school in terms of social emotional skills, so struggling with problem solving, communicating, what it looks like in the school setting is a lot of tantrums when it's time to transition or stop a preferred task, a lot of helplessness, so hearing it's too hard, I can't do it on my own, or just not being willing to try at all. And then taking turns, difficulty hearing it's not your turn for that right now, or no. Again, those sound really simple, but they make a huge difference in the classroom and for your child. For example, my own daughter is going to kindergarten and she's young for her grade. So she's turning 5 in August and she starts kindergarten in August. And she had a year of Georgia pre-K, so she's very prepared. And we do a lot of practice with being independent and being resilient and trying tricky things. And still the other day we were practicing a math problem and she was in distress about trying to write the number 2. I'm like, you can do it. You have done it. She's like, it's too hard. I want you to do it for me. Like, mommy is not going to do it for you. You have to try. Let me see you try, and then I can help. And eventually I put my hand over her hand and we did it together. But she had to try first, and it's okay to not be perfect. So in school, when you have a class full of 20 plus kids, and I guess pre-K it's going to be 20, kindergarten usually a little bit under that. It's a lot to try to handhold for every child. So the more we can practice trying something on our own first, the better. Okay, I am going to go back to modeling and narrating a lot today. At this age, our kids are really watching everything we do, whether we want them to be or not. So they see the good, the bad, and the ugly. So something we will be doing in my house, or I will be doing in my house this summer, is really trying to encourage behavior changes by narrating what I am doing and why. So if I want my kids to start putting their bowl in the sink, I'm going to start with saying, oh, I'm done with my cereal. I'm going to take my bowl to the sink so it doesn't get gross. Or, oh, I know I'm going to be really stressed out if we're rushed for time in the morning. I think I'm going to set my clothes out the night before. Do you want me to help you pick out your clothes for the night before? So that they start to learn good habits. Very helpful. to help create and model routines that start to build independence. And I'm going to show you some of those examples. Here's where we struggle sometimes as parents is allowing space for failure and frustration. We try to fix things for our kids because we don't want them to be frustrated, or frankly, we don't want to deal with the tantrum. And I'm there with you. I get it. But we have to let our kids get frustrated and fail and forget things and suffer the natural consequence of forgetting things in order to learn and build their own executive functioning skills. I have not been blessed with organizational skills. I am not a person who's naturally organized, so trying to model that for my child is very difficult. Something that helps in my house is visuals. I really recommend for our younger kids having some kind of visual to help build a consistent routine, not just for your kid, but also for you. So you can start really simple, you can keep it simple, you can make it more complicated and complex if that's what's best for your child, for your family. Something that we are going to start practicing this summer with my daughter is this little remember to pack checklist before camp. So we'll probably take off the jacket and put something different, but at night, the night before school, we'll have little Velcro dots here, and before she goes to bed, we'll look and say, okay, do we have our lunch ready? Check. Do we have our backpack ready? Check. Do we have our water bottle ready? Check. The goal being that eventually this is something she can do by herself and be responsible for herself. She's 5. She's not going to be able to do it on her own right away, but it's a start. I do think eventually we will probably go to something a little bit more complex because I think she can do it and it'll be helpful for her. And she has a lot of different after school activities and things going on. So probably we will move to something like this example on the right, which is, let's think about what day it's going to be. Okay, on Tuesday you have ballet. So what do we need for ballet? Great, let's make sure we pack that. It's going to be rainy. What do we need when it rains? Oh, we need a rain jacket. Great, let's pack that. So that you don't spend your child's entire elementary school career on top of them with, do you have your backpack? Oh, do you have your water bottle? Where's your water bottle? What do you mean it's PE? You were supposed to have your tennis shoes. How did we not know you were supposed to have your tennis shoes? You don't have to hold all of that knowledge. They can be independent and hold some of that knowledge and be responsible for it. It just takes practice, and the earlier we build those skills, the better. This is also an example. We introduced this morning routine checklist for my daughter actually when she was 3.5, and it was really helpful for helping her get out the door quickly. She does not love to be told what to do, so having a checklist that she could manage on her own was really helpful. We basically just set a stand timer and said, get all of this stuff done before the timer's gone. I don't care what order you do it in. And so now we don't use it as much. We probably will before kindergarten starts because she's gonna have to, it starts early. We need her to get a move on. And then we're going to start doing a bedtime routine as well, since we're getting some pushback in our summer routine. So these resources, I'll show you where you can find them at the end so you don't have to recreate. Don't feel like you need anything this fancy. Not everyone has access to a printer. In fact, most people don't have access to a printer. It could literally be as simple as making a list on a piece of notebook paper and sticking it on your garage door so that you remember every time you're leaving to go to the car what your child needs to be packing. Okay, to address the kind of helplessness that we see, the difficulty with resilience, let's talk about simple ways to build problem-solving skills. Again, we really want to think aloud and model behavior when we come into, or we have some kind of frustrating experience and we see a problem. We show our kids how to solve that problem in real time. So this happened just the other day. I didn't finish closing a water bottle and I picked it up really fast and I spilled the entire bottle of water on the floor. So out loud, I'm like, okay, wow, that's really frustrating that just happened. But I made a mess, so I need to clean it up. Let me get this paper towel and clean it up, and I'll refill my water bottle. And so because we've done that for a while, my daughter is pretty good at also saying things like, oh no, I spilled but I'll just clean it up. It's okay, right? So that is a skill that she's learned from modeling. It's not something that I've just told her how to do. That also means that if they see our frustration over things, they're watching how we handle that frustration as well. It's okay to be frustrated by things. It is tricky to learn new things, but we can get through it. It doesn't mean we have to just stop. Step one really is pausing before helping. We have a real tendency to jump in when things get hard. And part of that is because we're busy. My 2.5-year-old has joined the I do it stage where he crawls into his own car seat, and it feels like it takes 20 minutes to get him into the car. And it is great for his development. And it is terrible for me because it's hot outside and I'm trying to get places and do things. So part of why we jump in is because we're busy and we don't have time to wait 20 minutes for our kid to solve the problem. And then part of it is just, it's natural to want to help your kid. So if you can focus on slowing down and pausing before helping, or prompting them with some kind of question like, that's tricky. How are we going to solve this problem? Or let's think of some ideas that we could do to fix this, or what we could do next. And I mean, you can be silly with it even. You may practice at like some different scenarios at dinner or lunch or breakfast or in the car, wherever you usually chat with your child, and just do some what would you do questions. What would you do if you couldn't find your scissors? And you can be silly and say, would you go on a rocket ship and go to space? No. Would you throw a big fit and say you're not going to do the work? No. And come up with some different things that would be appropriate. Things that you're already doing at home, letting your kids play with puzzles, blocks, Legos, those are great for problem solving skills and building independence. You may say like, hey, build me a robot out of your blocks, or, build me a tree house out of your Legos. And help them through it when they are frustrated because they're looking for a certain piece and they can't find it. The floor is lava. They have an actual floor is lava game now. We weren't always that fancy, nor do you need to be. You could throw some pillows and blankets on the ground and tell them, get from here to there and figure out how to do it. The floor is lava. You can be really mean and intentionally limit resources. So like, only get out a few colored crayons or markers and help them figure out what to do if they really want a red, but there's no red. Well, what are we going to do? Are we going to rip our paper up? Are we just going to stop coloring? Are we going to use a different color? Are we going to ask for help? What are we going to do? If you like to read, your child likes to listen to stories, The Most Magnificent Thing is a really cute little problem-solving book. They actually have I think 20-minute little short movie. It's not really a movie because it's only 20 minutes, but they turned the book into a little show, and it's just one 20-minute thing, and it's cute too. So if your kids are more inclined to watch something versus listen to a book, that's one way you can go as well. Okay, communication skills. This is huge for our pre-K and kindergarten kids. We know our kids really well at home, so we have a tendency to do things for them before they have actually asked for them, right? So like if you're handing your child a snack, a lot of times you're opening the package for them before you hand it to them. So what that means is when they come to school and there's someone at lunch duty, it's me, I'm at lunch duty, and they need help opening their milk, they hold their milk up in the air, and then I go over to them and I say, hi, how can I help? And then they put their milk in my face. And I say, how can I help? And they're like, why doesn't she just know that I want my milk open? Like, I do know that, but I also need you to practice telling me. So practicing speaking and communicating in full sentences. Don't just say juice, say, will you help me open my juice, right? Or can I have some juice? My 2.5-year-old at home, because of his age, right now we're still working on just asking for help. Tell me, mommy, I need help. Once he masters that, I'll start to push him a little more to telling me what he needs help with. You need help pulling your chair out? Oh, I can help with that. You can help your kid learn to build on their thoughts just with some simple questions like, tell me how I can help, or it seems like you need help with this, is that right? Increase your wait time. Again, this comes back to the rushed, we're not just swimming in free time thing, but increasing your wait time for responses is really helpful in building these skills, especially if you're at a friend's house, you're at a restaurant. If the waitress asks your child what they want to drink, let your child answer. What do you want for drink, right? If you're not going to tell, then you're just not going to get a drink. No, maybe you don't have to be that mean, but that's how mean I am. So give them extra time, let them speak for themselves, encourage them, prompt them. These skills only come with practice and consistency. Okay, feeling identification and coping skills, it is completely developmentally appropriate for 4 and 5 and 6-year-olds to not just naturally know how to cope with big feelings. Those are learned skills that have to be taught explicitly. And even once they're taught, we would never expect a 4 or 5 or 6-year-old to use those strategies all by themselves right away. It takes a lot of practice. My own daughter has been in play therapy for over a year. And she still needs prompting when we have big feelings going on. What we don't want to do is, one, label feelings as bad. So we want our kids to know that all feelings are okay. Everyone feels angry sometimes, sad sometimes, disappointed sometimes. That is normal and fine. We don't want to bribe our kids to stop feeling a certain way. So like, oh, mommy will give you an ice cream if you stop crying. Please stop crying. That's not sustainable. It's also not teaching our kids how to cope. And if we can avoid using technology as a coping strategy, that's pretty important too. I know sometimes it is easy to just be like, look, just watch this video and please stop crying. So a few things you can do at home to help your child identify their feelings and learn to cope with the uncomfortable feelings. Feelings charades, super easy. You can either make a face yourself and have them guess how you feel. You can have them make a face and guess how they feel. You can give them some kind of problem like, oh, show me what your face would look like if a friend took a toy from you without asking, and then help them name what that feeling is. At my house, we're trying to start, when we read or watch a show, we're trying to start talking through how a character might feel. So the other night we read some unicorn book. The unicorn had a droopy head. I'm like, oh, I wonder how that unicorn feels. My daughter's like, oh, she feels sad, I can tell. So really simple things like that make a really big difference. When they are frustrated, disappointed, overwhelmed, it can be overwhelming for us because it's overstimulating and they're loud. A few simple things you can do. Buddy breathing is where you have them lay flat on their back, put a stuffy on their belly, and when they breathe in through their nose and out through their mouth, they can watch the stuffed animal go up and down on their stomach. So it's tactile. It's also something they can see, and the kids kind of like that one. Pizza breath and volcano breath. These are two strategies that they will learn in school. All right, pizza breath. We put our hands in front of our face like we're holding pizza, and we breathe in and smell the pizza, breathe out and cool it off. Do that a few times. If you have a very literal child like my own, and they are like, but I don't like pizza, do chicken nugget breath or whatever other kind of breath you want to, but smell it, cool it off. Volcano breath is very silly. So my 2.5-year-old likes it because even though he does not know how to take a deep breath, just the motions usually make him laugh and he forgets why he was upset. So we start with hands in front of your chest, breathe in and explode. They really like that one. So those are just a couple easy coping strategies. And I am going to share some other resources at the end that you can use if you need more help with the regulation stuff. A lot of kids are going to need help with, they're going to need their grown-up to help lead them to a coping skill. So again, my daughter doesn't love to be told what to do. So I might it's a little passive aggressive, but I might be like, I'm feeling a little frustrated. Will you color with me? Or I think maybe we should put on some calming music. Or if I'm noticing that she is butting heads with her brother, but she is not going to go take space by herself, I might be like, hey, come upstairs with me and help me do this thing. And then later we might chat about how it made us feel better when we went upstairs and we got some space. But that all feels like a lot. If you need to simplify, you may just start with helping identify their feelings. So it seems like you're feeling frustrated. That would be a great start for preparing them for pre-K or kindergarten. Okay, last really big area. It kind of goes with all the things we talked about. Helping our kids learn to respect boundaries. This is an issue we see every year, especially with our little ones when things aren't going the way they want them to. A lot of big tantrums. So here is my request. Practice this summer holding boundaries once you've set the boundary. And sometimes it is going to be inconvenient for you and frustrating for you. For example, last fall, my daughter, she was 4, she woke up way too early. We have a routine in my house. She's supposed to stay in bed until a certain light comes on in her room. She got up way too early before the light, and the whole morning she was whiny. She was not nice. She wasn't following directions because she was overtired. So during the time that she usually does quiet time, she doesn't nap anymore, I had told her, hey, I need you for 30 minutes to lay in bed with the lights out and your eyes closed. You don't have to fall asleep, but we have to rest our bodies because we're going to this chili cook-off later, and it's not going to be fun for anyone if we are grumpy. So I need you to lay down, eyes closed for 30 minutes. If you don't fall asleep, I'll come and I'll turn the light on for you. She immediately got up and started playing. I went back in. Hey, I explained again. She immediately got up and started playing again. So the second time I went in, I said, listen, if we can't follow this instruction, we're not going later. Dad and your brother are going later, but you and me, we're not going to that cook-off later if you cannot follow this instruction. She did not follow the instruction. She got up and played again. She was shocked and devastated to find that I did in fact hold the boundary, and we didn't go. And she wailed. It was terrible. I didn't get to go. It wasn't fun for me, but she still brings it up. And it still is a reason why she usually follows directions now. She'll bring up that happened before. She was really sad she couldn't go because she didn't follow directions. So what we see in school is kids will just be shocked when the grown-up follows through on what they said they were going to do. Maybe a friend is pushing someone in line and the teacher says, oh no, we have to have safe hands, or you're going to have to walk with me and hold my hand at the back of the line. And then they push again and they're like, I can't believe you're making me walk at the back of the line and hold your hand, even though that is what the teacher said was going to happen. So the more we can practice that at home in our daily lives, the more prepared they are going to be, not just for pre-K and kindergarten, but for the rest of their school career. Some other things you can do: give warnings before transitions. So we don't expect kids to just be okay with switching off from something fun and going to do something else at school. Most of our teachers are pretty good about giving warnings before we move on. So they might say, hey, we have 5 more minutes of this before we're switching. That is something you can do at home as well. Hey, 5 more minutes before dinner, or 5 more minutes before we have to clean up, 2 more minutes before we have to clean up. Now it's time to clean up. Using a first then model. First, I need you to clean your toys up, then we can go to grandma's house. And then when your child is like, but I don't want to do my toys, like, okay, well, first I need you to clean your toys up, and then we're going to go to grandma's house, and sticking with it. So I will say, be careful of the boundaries you set, because you do have to hold them. So make sure you're picking your battles wisely. Every once in a while, my husband and I say something and set a boundary and are immediately like, oh, why did we do that? Now we have to follow through on this. But it is better for everyone in the long run if we follow through on those boundaries. Really important, all feelings are welcome, all behaviors are not. So while we don't want our kids to think that being angry or frustrated or disappointed is bad, we do want them to know that there are consequences for the choices we make when we have those feelings. So you're not in trouble for being disappointed. You are in trouble for throwing that book across the room because you felt disappointed. We have other strategies that we can practice when we feel disappointed. And then letting your child experience those uncomfortable feelings. We do not need to fix every disappointing thing that happens. If we were supposed to go to the pool and it rains, that is disappointing. We can't go to the pool. That does stink. It doesn't mean we need to go get ice cream to make it better. It's okay to have the disappointment and just leave it at that. That does really stink. I'm bummed too. We'll have to go on the next sunny day. Let's figure out something else to entertain ourselves. Those are skills that are going to make a huge difference once your child comes to school. To simplify, I know that was a lot, and it may be that your child is already amazing at those things. We're certainly still working on a lot of those skills at my house. If all you can do is commit to 1 or 2 things this summer to put in place and be consistent with, that's amazing. If you're wanting to work on problem solving, maybe you just commit to trying to ask, what could you try? And pause before helping. Or if you want to work on communication, committing to just responding with a tell me more before you jump in and finish their thought for them, or helping identify feelings by saying, like, it seems like you're feeling frustrated, seems like you're feeling sad. Those are really simple, just 1-step little commitments you could make to building those skills over the summer. And they really do come with consistency. Okay. I am going to put the recording of our training in a Google Drive that you can find here on the QR code on the left side of the screen. The training will be there, and then also the little systems and routines images that I have. Those are in there as well. They're all in one PowerPoint because you can download them and edit them yourself really easily if you don't want to start from scratch. But again, you do not need to do anything fancy. You could just write it on some notebook paper and stick it on the fridge if you want to. If you want to work on regulation more, you can go to this QR code on the right, and a previous training that myself and the Lake Forest counselor did on regulating your child and yourself is there. There's resources there. There's also a recorded training there. So if your kiddo needs a little bit of extra help with self-regulation, which if they're 4 or 5,